Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Big Brother Brothers, the ultimate unofficial podcast. I'm your live feed obsessed host, Fox Fan Allen, and joining me today, as is the case every week throughout Big Brother 22 All-Star season, is my good friend, a man who will always buy you crab legs first, Mr. Lance Cartelli. Hello, Lance.
Hey, Fox. I'm a little bummed you're not wearing your denim vest like Memphis.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting fashion choices going on in the Big Brother house. So I want to get into it. We have a lot to talk about. It's a busy week. We're going to talk about Memphis's HoH and whether or not it went okay. Spoiler alert, it didn't. We're going to talk about the Nicole and David block party, two absolutely disastrous campaigns, one more disastrous than the other. And we're going to talk about the new HoH Tyler and figure out his plans for the week in our spoiler section. And we're going to do it all today, Lance, with our very special guest. Now, I looked it up. Almost 1 year to this day.
Wow.
First season of Big Brother Brothers, we had from Big Brother 15, McCrae. McCrae is joining us today. Hello, McCrae.
How's it going?
It's going fantastic. How are things with you?
Oh, just fantastic. Everything in the world. Let's not talk about it, but, Big Brother's on. So, I wasn't necessarily looking forward to this season, but the closer and closer we got to it, the more I was like, all right, I'm excited. It was a hurdle for me at first, but I think now that we're in the swing of things, it's not the best. Like last week wasn't the best, but still, it's like one of the things where it's like the worst Big Brother season is still Big Brother. So, can we really complain? Everyone on Twitter, I see you. Shut up. Stop crying. That's what I have to say.
Yeah. Was the hurdle for you that you weren't asked back as an all-star? Is that what really hurt you?
So, no. I think that, sometimes when I say that, people think that, I guess, don't get it twisted. There's no chance in my brain that I was gonna get asked back. There's just no way. I'm a very low self-esteem person. I was the last person on the Big Brother 15 list that I thought was gonna get a call back. I definitely know that other people in my cast were very, very upset about it. But I kind of since I got off the show and knowing the reaction that my season gets, I think I've tempered myself to always be it's one I didn't ever think I was going to be on the show in the first place. I was an alternate. So it's one of those things where I have that same mindset where it's I'll never get on the show. I'll just never get on again, and I didn't think I was going to get on the first time. So it's one of those things where it's if your expectations are low, it can only go up from there. So
that's how I lived my life. I lived my life with either low or no expectations.
Absolutely.
So
it's the best way to live.
And look where it's got you, Lance, right here. Isn't that fantastic?
As a Big Brother brother.
I want to challenge you and say, I would say if they're going to bring back someone from season 15, I think you'd be at the top of the list because every season we see there's always somewhere in there a McCrae reference.
Well, they like me. I know that at least one executive producer, we have a good relationship, and I think that they feel we definitely got burned by the whole situation. So I feel they kind of make it up to me, I guess, which I know it upsets everyone else on my cast also. So it's win-win. Again, that's why I'm not gonna complain too much about CBS because they've been pretty good to me. As much as they could be for putting my face on every season, basically. So no, I'm grateful for what I've got.
Yeah. So if there is someone, from 15 who should be an all-star, who should be on this season, who is it going to be? One person. You got to pick someone. Who is it?
Other than you.
Yeah. I'm going to have to go with David. First boot. No. Okay. So, that's
Mr. Curtin.
No.
First time we've ever talked about him on the show.
Yep.
May as well be the last.
Yep. No, I definitely think Amanda, it's obviously a little bit controversial, and especially I'm a little bit more biased too. I think Amanda is an insane game player. She's good, but also she's her own worst enemy. She's a villain. She's not afraid to make enemies. She would have been good TV. I think that she's like actually the best pick from our cast just because she has all the elements of making like an all-star. I don't know. There's a few other ones. Like I'd love to see Spencer. I'd love to see Judd. I'd love to see, Helen. Alyssa's another good one. Like there's so many people that actually like, some of those people may have did bad things or said bad things, but like there's some of them like Helen and Alyssa like definitely could have got the pick without causing the controversy uproar, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
Amanda would have added some nice spice to this season. Some much needed spice.
Oh, everyone is just playing like, let's just do what the HoH wants. Like Amanda is not that player at all. Amanda is like, no. Like I'm gonna come hell or high water. I'm gonna just like make the house. I'm gonna do what I want. And that's why I think like we talk about like kind of old school versus new school. It's a conversation that is like coming up a lot. I do believe that my season falls into that old school mentality of like, oh, what does the HoH want us to do? No, we're doing the opposite of that because we're not going to let them have power. I don't know. That's how I feel about it.
One quick question that I have for you. It came up on the feeds, and you may be the only person, or you and everyone else on 15, maybe the only person to help solve this mystery. But we were trying to figure out. They were trying to figure out when the alcohol delivery stopped, and they figured we had it on 14. We didn't have it on 16. What happened on 15? Was it a yes or no?
So, I mean, it's 15, I think. Amanda's for it. There wasn't any indication of them being like, we're taking away your booze. But basically, every time we got booze, Amanda would get it in her and Aaron would get in it and they would just go edit. Like, it would just be like constant craziness. I mean, Winegate was like week two, and that was just a blowout of the house. And to me, it's like, it's also the same reason why it's like, just keep on giving them alcohol. Like, let's get stuff popping off, like if we're going to like put these people on display, like let's make it a real zoo,
Mm-hmm. Well,
that's what the best part of like the challenges is just when they just get them all liquored up and everything. So bring it back. Come on, we need it.
Absolutely. I mean, any of these shows, shows, like it's always better when they introduce alcohol. And like, that's the thing where it's like, you guys are going to play it safe on this aspect when basically everyone's going out of their way to fight or to be like in the firing line of COVID, a little bit of alcohol is really going to be the worst of your problems. Like just liquor them up, that's my opinion.
Well, that's why the first episode of The Bachelor is so great too, is because they give them alcohol for like 14 hours and stuff and just see what happens. God,
that's the show I want to do.
Big Brother is a much more responsible reality TV show. If you have to rank them, Big Brother's
unfortunately.
The thing about it is, I mean, like look at I don't know if you guys ever watched Big Brother Canada. My all-time favorite challenge they ever did was they actually brought 2 house guests into the DR. They had a full liquor set, and they were like, you guys have to just start drinking. You have to go back out into the house, and no one can tell that you're drunk. And then they would, like, go let them out. They'd bring them back in. They would keep drinking, partying, and then they'd go back out and be like, just trying to be, like, real sober. That's the best challenge. And it's like, take a clue or get a clue, like that's what you guys should be doing because that's a way better segment than watching Ian recite poetry, which is fun. It's a fun little like goof or whatever, it's fluff, but like that is not, come on, like he's not really, jeopardizing his game with this.
Sure. Someone
could jeopardize their game with alcohol, I don't understand why they're doing these little fluff pieces of, get them in a costume already. Like, no, who cares? I don't know. That's me.
I think costumes are fun, but they're whatever.
They're fun.
It's just something to look at on the live feeds.
I agree.
But costumes are a lot more fun when you're drunk.
Amen. Absolutely.
Yeah, we've got from last week here our Janelle star costume. Yeah. So good. Oh, that's right. We this is since you haven't been this is season 2, McCrae. So we got puppets all over the place here. We got Janelle here. We got Lance. I got a Lance.
Yeah. Magnum PI vibes. Magnum PI vibes right there.
Mm-hmm. And today we've even got a McCrae.
Oh, I love it.
Right?
That is so sweet.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
It's really good.
It's pretty good. All right. So that's our gimmick. Like every guest this season gets their own puppet. We haven't been. We think it's a good selling point, although we didn't even try selling you on it.
You got to get the stash on there, though.
Well, I know now I'm rocking. No, don't worry about the stash. This is just for a photo shoot I did. I think it's. I was trying to. Go on.
It's like Cody. Sometimes it's there. Sometimes it's not.
Yeah, I also
Anyway.
was trying to go for Magnum PI vibes.
Anyway, let's talk. I want to get into this week here a little bit and talk here. We've got, speaking of bad fashion choices, we do have our HoH and Vito holder Memphis
That
here.
is amazing.
In
That denim vest.
In his denim vest, in his unfortunately chosen denim vest. And he puts up two very safe question mark choices of Nicole and David, our two buddies from Big Brother 21, and it was it's kind of a I don't know what he was thinking here with this week. This is a rough week all around. He tries to play both sides of the house with talking with Janelle. He's not really working with Janelle, but it seems to do enough damage to his game that he doesn't actually want to go after Janelle and just kind of wants to go after David and Nicole here. And it sure doesn't help that when he's nominating David and when he's choosing David for have-nots, he just it's just so damn tone deaf. It's like he didn't even watch the previous season, where he's saying, it's welcome to Big Brother, his big kids table. Who the hell is Memphis? First of all, who the hell is Memphis to decide who belongs in Big Brother 22 and who doesn't? Because like he's like borderline himself. Like as far as All Stars goes, like
and someone said that like he was supposedly one of the alternates that got on, and it's like you almost didn't make it either. So like, what are you talking about? I mean, it's just so condescending, and to me, it's just like, well, why are you making those kind of moves? Like, why are you trying to like show that aspect of yourself, or like? But on the other hand, like TV worthy, like I think that he comes from the like Dan. He's a disciple of Dan. Dan is very much like, whatever you're gonna do, make it good TV. Like, and I picked that up from Dan and his little speeches or whatever. Like he talked about after Big Brother 14, he always said that, where it's like, if you're going on, your job there is to make TV. And so like, is that what Memphis is doing? Like, I think there's a part of that where he's kind of like being a showsmanship or trying to play up a villain card. I don't know. So like, that's the one defense I want to give of Memphis, but like, it's so condescending. Like, that's gonna rub people the wrong way.
Yeah, it's that classic 1943 style Big Brother gameplay.
Yeah, in the words of Tyler, he's lame, bro. He kind of just sucks. Like, yes. I don't understand what he was doing. Like, I get that he tried to play it safe and wanted to play both sides and stuff, but once he made the stupid mistake of bringing that up to his alliance, you kind of have to go after it. It's like the Survivor thing. Once someone brings it up, you either squash it or join them. And he just played both sides, and it just backfired on him.
I don't know. I think it was decent nominations. I think he absolutely put himself in a really tough position between two alliances, but I think he kind of floated along there without getting too much blood on his hands. If I was in his alliance, I'd be like, I don't trust you at all. Like, you don't have my best interests out, like, at all. And he's still playing like old school when all these people on his alliance are all new school players that are like, oh yeah, let's just align and like, that's it, you know? I still think it wasn't too bad, but I mean, as the week progresses, it just gets worse and worse. I mean,
I think I think initially, like, that makes sense. Play it safe.
Yep.
Don't let your other alliance tell you what to do. Let them get the blood on their hands. But like I said, once he brings it up to the alliance, it's just shooting himself in the foot at that
Absolutely.
point.
Yeah, he's playing both sides, but he really does a terrible job of playing his own side, where they're all confused. Like, no one seems to know where the initial nominations are going to go. And then when he finds out that someone is throwing around some names that are in his alliance, he doesn't seem to be very concerned about it, because his name wasn't one of the names. But still, like, you want to show at least a little bit of concern there.
Oh, yeah. Or even like some loyalty of like, I'm doing this for you guys. Or like, this is the plan. Like, even at the beginning of his nomination, it's like, you got to like build a quorum or a forum, a consensus, something. Like, you have to talk to your people. And so like, even if you choose to go away from what they do, like, talk to them, see what they want. Like, that's the reason why an alliance works, is because everyone has a similar, like, this is the plan. But when it's just like, I'm going rogue, it's just like, well, this person is not in our alliance. Like, this is like a loose cannon. I don't know.
And him being so ambiguous about the safety thing too just puts his alliance even more in the dark too. It's like, if you're going to do that, like you said, be up front, tell them what's going on.
Fill everyone in. Yeah, exactly. Which this is another thing where it's like, I think it was a brilliant idea, actually. I think it was really smart to be like, I'm going to try to flush out as much of the safety garbage as I can so that I can utilize it. You know, say something bad happens this week and you got targets coming after you. Next week, you can play. I think it was smart on his part. But again, it's like, the smartest idea doesn't mean anything when it's poorly executed, you know, just like you really didn't do like, I don't know. He doesn't not know how to come off soft. It's just like blunt and like straightforward. And it's like a little bit of subtlety and nuance, my friend. Like it's just not there for him.
Yeah, he's never done this before. This is his first time as HoH,
Exactly.
and you got to wonder how far he would have made it in Big Brother 10 had he had power at some point, and then had this nonsense exposed. Because that's maybe
HoH-itis. It's real.
Some people are better off not winning HoH. Anyway, so if we're talking about Memphis doing all the wrong things here, it looks like Nicole Anthony. A fan favorite. Everyone loves Nicole. She is, Lance, you and I talked with her at the Big Brother finale in the backyard. She is the nicest person. And now that I've said
one of the
something
only
nice about
interesting
her,
people from that season. So
we're gonna do the compliment sandwich. Got the first part. She sucks at Big Brother. She is terrible at Big Brother. Nicest
but she's
person
lovely.
in the world.
Lovely.
So wonderful. No, she is fantastic. And
Absolutely.
like I know like I could have a great time just hanging out with her. But she, it really starts with this whole, it starts with the safety aspect where Memphis basically tells her, go for it, go for the safety, you should. And she says no, because that's who she is. You tell me to do it, I'm not going to do it. And that really does set her up to be the perfect target, because if you're Memphis and playing next week, why don't you want to get out someone who hasn't played yet? One fewer person to play against. Like that. It just makes perfect sense. And she just kind of like, I don't know, for someone who is supposedly someone who thinks so much about the game and has studied all this strategy, like that alone to me is like, not great.
Well, I mean, like it's one of those things where it's like, I understand that perspective 100%, where it's like, oh, you're going to tell me what I'm supposed to do? Like, no. Like, I will do the exact opposite. But you're playing a game for $500,000. Like, you check all that at the door, you know? Mm-hmm. If you need to be defiant, you should be. But, like, this is not the time to be defiant, you know? Like, to me, it's just, like, one of those things where it's, like, I salute you and I respect, like, having backbone and having, like, you know, your will, I guess. Like, I think that it's just not worth it. Like, just check it for 1 week, and then you get to be the one that runs stuff, you know? I think like it's like one of those, like, just it's the short-sighted version, or just short-sightedness, really, where it's like you're playing a long game. Like everyone always says, it's a sprint, or it's a marathon, not a sprint. And it's like that mindset is sprint mindset, you know? Like, oh, I'm gonna be defiant. Like, no, now's the time to kiss butts, you know?
Especially when she doesn't have a relationship with Memphis or anything. It's like you have to survive. Like, I understand playing the long game and trying to keep yourself safe as long as possible, but you have to worry about the current week you're in, and she didn't do that.
Yeah.
No, it is very frustrating.
Yeah. Part of the problem in the early going that maybe compounds this is that Janelle and Kaysar are somewhat close to Memphis. Not really. I mean, he's playing both sides, but they're talking with, he talks with them a lot more than some of the other people in the house talk with him. Let's say that at least. And they're going to work, and they do work tirelessly throughout the week to try everything they can do to save Nicole Anthony. And it's really, I mean, it's all wasted effort. Nothing's really going to change things, it looks like. But Nicole somehow gets it through her head that, well, they went to bat for me, it didn't work, so they must be against me. And then this week was so hard to watch on the live feeds because so much of it was Nicole sulking and Nicole being angry at people who were working with her. And it seems like the people she fought hardest against this week were the only two people trying to keep her safe.
And it's one of those things where, like, it bothers me the most because you know, when you're there, you're like, basically you should be thinking about the motivations of everyone else in the house. I have my own personal motivations. Like, I want this to happen. I want these people to go home. But like, you have to think about like why everyone else is doing what they're doing. And like, there's no logical explanation that she had for like Janelle and Kaysar say they're trying to save me, but actually what I think is they're actually going up there and they're throwing me under the bus. And then this whole week they're still putting their necks on, like, it nowhere in that does that make logical sense to me. And like that's the part that like really is like separating me from like, well, I can't, usually I try to put myself in the like the spot of the person that goes home, try to be like, okay, well, this is their thought process. Like I'm trying to be like a house guest advocate, and like it's impossible. I cannot wrap my head around what her plan was or why she was doing what she was doing, because they actually had a chance to flip the house this week and to change the entire direction of the house. And like the fact that like, let's not get to it yet, but the fact that she basically rolled over and like everyone else rolled over, I mean, I still think there was a chance, even though there is this huge alliance. I don't know. I just don't know. It's so frustrating to me. Very bad.
To me, it just showed just how outclassed she was at this game. Like to get people who are just playing you that easily and for you to just buy it that easily and stuff, just shows how poor she is at the game and at reading it. Yes. So I was actually pretty happy to see her go because she wasn't just bringing anything to this game.
Agreed.
So it was really just annoying to see that. I felt really bad for her because she's so nice and she just wants to trust somebody, and she hasn't really been able to do that. And then it just all came crashing down on her.
Well, go on. Sorry.
Go ahead. And I was just gonna say, I agree with McCrae that they had a chance to really flip this, and it just feels like we're watching so many other seasons of Big Brother where you get this major alliance and then you have a counter alliance that could be built, but they think they're part of that alliance, or they think that they can be part of it, and then they just don't realize it till it's already too late, and it feels like we're doing that again.
Big Brother 7, the last All-Stars, it was Dr. Will. Everyone wants their cool kid club card, you know? Yeah. Like everyone wants to be a part of that, you know? And like it's not even a cool kid club, you know? I wouldn't want to be with them. I don't know. Like you're 100% right. And I honestly think that Twitter made a monster out of Nicole. I think that Twitter, like the just adulation of like just the most amount of people on Twitter, that built a false sense of like, oh yeah, like I'm good at this game. Like I got to trust my gut and my intuition. And it's like, no one ever told her like, no, your intuition was garbage. And like, it was bad. Like no one was there to be like, hey, like, here's a little bit of a reality check. Like you should go in there with some like humility and not ego. Again, probably controversial, but I think that's what really happened, because like, she didn't play that game necessarily last time. She played a smart game. She was with the right people a lot of the time. But this time it was just like, she was just like, oh, actually I know what's going on. My gut is telling me this. And my intuition is telling me this. And it's like, oh yeah, that was all completely wrong. Like if I was you, I'd never trust it again. Like don't do it. I don't know. That's just me, I guess.
Yeah, I was expecting, based on the way that the live feeds were going throughout the week, I was expecting for Nicole to just be absolutely devastated by when she gets out of the house, finds out what's true, what's not true. It sounds like she kind of started to figure it out towards the last 24 hours or so she had in the house. So that she shows, you know, I think she did a very good job when she, on her way out with Julie, was kind of showed some humility about it, accepted that she's wrong. And I think that's like the best thing that you can do, like in that situation.
Oh no. And I felt 100% bad for her. Yeah. I felt bad because it's like, again, it's one of those things where it's like, I understand your limited viewpoint of being in the house. Like they don't have the omniscient view that we have, or omnipotent view. I don't know. But like, that's the thing, is like, they don't have that view. So like, I understand. And I think like you could see it on her face, and like the way she like hung her head and stuff like that. I was like, oh, she knows. Oh, I felt real bad.
I want to give her a hug, but as you know, it is not safe to do so.
Julie, wear a mask, please.
When Julie feels that bad for you to like want to give you a hug like that, you know it's bad.
Just like, oof.
So it's a hug rain check sometime in 2021. She can collect that hug. It's going to be great. All right.
One of my biggest takeaways from this is just, we're in an all-star season, but there are some just really poor players in this. And it's just one of the things that really sticks out to me. I brought it up last time since McCrae brought up Big Brother 7. I thought Janelle and Kaysar should have done the Chilltown thing, where you just cause chaos. You're two people and you cause chaos and you keep these two sides kind of going at each other. And they didn't do that. Kaysar just kind of did what he always does, plays way too hard in the beginning. I feel like Kaysar is kind of like Nicole, where he's really not that good at the game, but he's so beloved.
I agree. I as much as like I'm a huge like Kaysar and Janelle fan. Those are my favorites, obviously. But you're 100% right, where it's like, Kaysar, I love you, but like you've played 3 times and you literally have not learned one thing. Cameron, who's my podcast co-host on season 19, he said he has a theory that everyone that's in the house right now is playing the exact same game they played whenever they did play last time. And to be honest, like basically there's only maybe one person I think that's not necessarily true for, but like it feels exactly right, where it's like Kaysar, you know, like he's playing the same exact game where it's like, you need to chill out. You do need to become Chilltown. Like you're 100% right, where it's like you guys did not like study, or like you didn't think like maybe I should come in with a new game plan. As much as I love Janelle, like much respect to Janelle as always, but like come in with something new, like try something different. Like she's always like, that's not how I play. I don't play like that. Well, it's like you didn't win when you played like that before. So like, what is it? Insanity of, you know, doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I want to talk more about this. Janelle and Kaysar. I also want to talk about David too, and his campaign, and we're going to do all that right after this. Okay, so we're back after that short commercial break, and I want to talk a little bit. I want to talk about a little bit about the other half of the block here, David, because David's got some friends in the house, and that's why he stays. But his campaign is terrible. Now, specifically, one of the worst parts of it really is the conversation that he has with Devon. Devon is super motivated to keep him around. And that conversation, David does everything it seems possible to try to push Nicole, or to try to push her, Devon, to vote to keep Nicole. Like, he kind of confirms that he's in an alliance with other people. That's not her. She takes away that if it was the situations were reversed, he might not vote to keep her. There are so many question marks, I guess, from both sides of this conversation. But let's start with David. What did you think of this campaign, McCrae?
I mean, it's mind-boggling. But at the same time, like, you have to give not credit, but you have to be like, well, let's have a couple just let it happen. I mean, he's never played the game. Like, it was one of those things where it's like, oh, this is your first time voting, which seems like so condescending also.
It was, yes. Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I don't think he really doesn't get the game yet, you know? Like, we have to let him, like, develop his own game, and the longer he's there, the better he has a chance at developing a game that's winnable, or that could get him the win. I think that, you have to give him some credit of being like, well, he doesn't know the ins and outs. Like, oh, yeah, you probably shouldn't tell people that you've got another alliance and then not name them, because no one's going to trust you, guy. To me, it's so, it's tough to watch, but I like it because it's train wreck gameplay. I love it. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, well, go for it, I guess, like, and see, it could work out for him, you know?
It's just different than what you're used to seeing, which is nice because you're seeing the same thing over and over in this season and stuff.
Absolutely.
But you're right. He has to get better at the game. That's an obvious thing. But he also needs some common sense and just like know how to talk to people, because even if you don't understand the game, what he was saying to Devon and stuff, like, you don't tell somebody to calm down. You don't tell somebody to like stop defending you and all this stuff. Like, Devon is so mad at this guy that she doesn't even call him by his name. She calls him this man. But for as bad as David is, Devon is just as bad. Like, she is not part of this strong alliance. And I understand her vote and everything and her morals behind it, but like, Nicole made a good point where it's like, okay, David's probably not going to win, but you could still win. And you could be the first Black person to win and everything. Yeah. But she's playing too much, not with her head. And so for her to kind of go against what is probably the better play is really tough to watch for somebody who I really like seeing.
Absolutely. And I think it's like the same thing that I was talking about with Nicole, where it's like, I get being defiant and I get it. And like, I understand it. And like people with convictions, again, like I can do nothing but salute your convictions, because there's not enough people that like have steadfast convictions in this world anymore. I respect it. But to me, it's like, well, if this move ends up getting everyone wiped out, then like, well, where are you left? Like, it's one of those things where it's like, you have to don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Is that I don't know if that works with that.
But I think like, I mean,
I think that's kind of the idea that I'm going for though, is like, well, this could have like screwed everyone this season, or like all the people that you want to save, this might have screwed everyone. And you might have had a fighting chance the opposite way. I agree. It's tough to watch, but again, it's one of those things where it's like, it makes good TV. Like having a character flaw or like a character trait, is like, that's what makes good characters. So it's one of those things where it's like, I can't blame Devon, and I want to see her do good. Absolutely. And again, I think it just like, it adds to her character. It's fun to watch. And it's something that like, if you're in the house, like, oh, well, I got a plan for that now, basically.
Yeah.
And it makes you just understand why Davon hasn't won the game. But like, as Jets coach said, you play to win the game, and it doesn't feel like Davon is doing that, which is the most frustrating part.
Agreed.
I think a couple things that to keep in mind with the Devon vote is that really it's not much of a choice between David and Nicole. The votes aren't going to be there in really any, like, you need 6. Memphis has got to be part of the 6. It's just such a tough hill to climb. They're not going to get there. So really, like, it's more or less coming up with the reason, like why, like what are the possible reasons here. And while it really, like, he doesn't add anything to her game, so like it does not appear that he adds much to her game, as Nicole maybe doesn't add an awful lot either, but is probably a little bit more loyal to her. You at least know Nicole's not working with all the guys. Nicole doesn't want to be part of the cool kids clique. Nicole will never be part of the cool kids clique. She's Nicole. But
no, I absolutely. It's tough to watch, because like I'm a huge fan of her, really love her, and it's one of those things where it's like, I hope this doesn't come back to bite you, like I think like the game is in such early stages still. There's so many moving parts that it's like, nothing's set in stone. Everyone on Twitter wants to be like, it's over for all these people, they're done, Davon's next, what, like, and it's like, there's so many moving parts that it's like, come on, like there's plenty of opportunity to squirrel your way out of stuff. So I'm not like, it's not the end of the world for me yet for her game, but she needs to figure out, and we're not to the vote yet of the week, I guess, because I want to talk about that vote. I don't know.
Yeah, no, let's
talk about it.
Yeah,
because like basically, like if we're talking about it, so Davon basically didn't want to ever cast the vote against David. So what they didn't realize is that Enzo was going to throw out a hinky vote, and it's like they would have had the 5 votes if Christmas would have flipped, which I don't know. But at the same time, I like, it's like, even it, like, say Christmas didn't flip and Davon did, they would have had the 6. Would Memphis have voted for David or Nicole? I mean, I like, it doesn't make sense for me. If I was putting myself in Memphis's perspective, it doesn't make sense why you wouldn't get rid of David in that situation. So like, if I'm like casting that vote, it's like, this dude's obviously upset at you. Like, you piss him off quite a bit. Like, I don't know if they had like a secret like side meeting that was like, oh no, like I'm just gonna say this shit to, like, I'm just gonna say this stuff to, like, I know, I'm just gonna say this stuff to like kind of, like try to like trick everyone in the house. But like, I'm guessing that did not happen. And it's like, oh yeah, like Davidson actually wants to go after Memphis, so he
was telling people that too. He wasn't, shying away from that.
Exactly.
And you've got Nicole saying she's going after Jaser. Like there was a chance,
which was a solid plan. Yeah, exactly. It was a solid plan to be like, so eventually Nicole ends up telling Kaysar and Janelle that like, I've been just like dragging your name throughout the house. And if I'm Kaysar and Janelle, I'm like, good, keep doing that, because that keeps us separated. Like, let's just keep that plan and like let's build on that. I don't know if last second scrambles are like what used to be done in old school 6, 7, 14, whatever. But like the last second scramble is like that is where votes are changed. I think that it is doable. We don't often see that, like, that heat of like scramblage, from the live feeds or like the day of, I guess, when they show the eviction episode. But there is serious moments of like, votes are changed on last second scrambles in the house, and those are my favorite days. Those are the best days, when it was just wheeling and dealing.
That's what's most fun about like Survivors, when you get like Tony like with the sun coming down to change the votes and everything. That's the most fun part.
Well, and like it happens in Big Brother, and like we generally never get an edit of it because it's so confusing and so like it's so fast paced that it's like you need a full episode just to like basically edit down that last second scramble. But I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like I don't know if it makes sense for Janelle and Kaysar to like cut ties and just like, all right, let's go with the house. That's not usually what they do, but like it makes sense to me. But again, it's like one of those things where it's like you guys had so much time to scramble and you guys didn't come up with anything, like nothing. It's rough. It's so rough to watch.
And with those 2 votes, you can kind of they probably won't believe it, but you could theoretically pin that on Jacer too.
Well, okay, so like that's what I've been thinking about. I don't believe that you can pin those 2 votes on them. So there was a plan that broke out early eviction day where Danny, Cody, and Enzo had a plan to have 2 votes go towards David. They would pin this on Janelle and Kaysar, but with only Enzo throwing out a hinky vote, you can obviously you have to assume that Kevin is immediately going to be like, well, I'm the one that voted for Nicole. Right. Mm-hmm. So then there's only 1 vote that's unaccounted for. Why would Janelle and Kaysar ever vote opposite? It makes no sense logically within the house. So to me, it's like they can't even pin it on Janelle and Kaysar. Like they have to like figure out a new person to pin it on. I don't know who that's going to be, but if you're in the house and you're like, oh, the 2 votes were Janelle and Kaysar, like you are also a dum-dum. Like the thing about it, to me, it's like one of those things where it's like, that could have been a really, really good plan to pin it on them. It doesn't like I don't think it's going to matter much overall, but if I'm Janelle and Kaysar, I'm like, who was that vote? I want to be talking about that nonstop. Who was the vote?
Yeah, no, that actually, I think that probably works out better for them, that there's someone behind the scenes who's clearly playing some kind of stupid game, playing the Scotty game from Big Brother 20, where you throw out a vote for no good reason.
Just hinky votes all day.
You throw one for the point of throwing one out there, but you think like, is there a great reason to throw one out? Here, I'm not sure there is, partially because it's not really a secret that Janelle and Kaysar were trying to work and save Nicole, like especially among that alliance. Like, there's not a lot of question that there was something going on there. So,
absolutely.
Even if they don't vote, like if they vote, they don't vote. Like, to me, that vote doesn't really matter. Like that,
they needed 3 votes. They needed 3 votes to make it believable, and like the fact that there's only 2 votes makes it really suspect. But also that's a good thing. But I also think it was kind of a miscommunication between Cody and Enzo and Danny or whoever else. Because, like, does Enzo go back and tell Cody? I was the one that voted? I don't know.
Here's my follow-up question about the plan. Who are they trying to fool here?
Well, like, the people in my chat seem to think that it might be, like, pin it on Davon,
okay.
Like
that was my initial thinking, but then it's also you have the same problem with Jacer where if that's happening, Bailey's probably voting too. With the same way,
I agree. That would, if you work through it logically, you'd be like, why would they even vote separately? But then, like, that's the thing where it's like this becomes more of an obvious thing where it's like you can start to like pare down, or you can clue your way through it of like, okay, well, it's probably not this couple, it's not this couple. Like, couples will vote together. That's where the power comes from in a vote. So yeah, exactly. It's just like, it becomes more and more suspect. And yes, Enzo's a person that like he can lie through it though. You know, everyone's gonna probably believe Enzo, which is mind-boggling. I think we even maybe heard in the last episode people were like, well, it's Enzo. Like, he wouldn't lie. It's like, he created just an all-guys alliance and then lied the whole season. Like,
this is also Big Brother where everyone lies.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, that's a given. But, yeah. No, it's like one of those things where it's like, I don't understand the game that people are playing. Like, I don't – it's so weird to me.
If I went into it and didn't see who that vote was and I just guessed, I would have said Tyler. Because Tyler just seems like somebody who would kind of just throw things out there. Especially to kind of mess with Memphis, too.
Yeah. But you wouldn't say that now. I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves. But you'd be like, oh, I'm not saying that to anyone else. You're going to go home.
That's right.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit more about Janelle, because she's always on my mind. She's on everyone's mind. There's a lot of Janelleousy going around the house.
Janelleousy, I love it.
And it seems like the biggest the biggest fight here seems to be between oh wait, hold on, I got puppets for this, right? It seems to be between Janelle, of course, and Nicole. So I guess this all stems back to the Amazing Race. A lot of this stems back to the Amazing Race. A recent season where it was Nicole and Victor played together as a team. Janelle was there as well with Brittany. And there was who was the other Big Brother team? It was Rachel Riley and her sister Alyssa. So those were the Big Brother teams. And during one of the legs of the race, there's a mechanic in the game called the U-turn, where basically a team can screw another team. And as it turns out that Rachel and Alyssa had told Nicole and Victor that one of the other teams was planning on U-turning them. Nicole and Victor thought the information was a little bit sketchy and decided that we should ask them. We should ask the team who's planning on U-turning us. Are you planning on U-turning us? And basically the end story there, at least for the Amazing Race, is that there was a confrontation on the mat. Nicole cried, and everyone turned against Rachel and Alyssa.
Nicole cried?
Can you believe it?
No, come on. I don't know.
And it seems like this confrontation has been brought into the house with Janelle really taking up the Rachel banner, and just, can you believe Nicole did this? A lot of conversations about Amazing Race in the house right now.
Let me think. Go back through that. What were you? Okay, one, like if I was ever on the Amazing Race with other Big Brother people, I'd go down with that ship. There's no way. I'm a person that's like, I'm loyal to the soil, as they say. It's like one of those things where it's like, we're Big Brother. Let's win this other game. It does not matter. I don't care. I'm sticking with you guys. That's the way that I feel about that stuff. I think that it is like, oh, I don't like that you would betray another Big Brother team, especially now knowing, like, spoiler alert to anyone that has not watched that season, Amazing Race team wins. That's unacceptable. Not okay. The other thing is, from what I've heard, this is a little bit of inside baseball.
Ooh, okay.
Supposedly, when Nicole was crying on the platform, on the thing, basically Victor was screaming at Alyssa and Rachel, so much so that Phil had to step in and tell Victor to cool it. I don't, again, like, this is something that came from Big Brother alumni. My warning always is, if it comes from Big Brother alumni, do not trust it, because they're all lying scum.
That's
but
right.
I do believe that. I'll 100% believe that. I think is really funny, but I think that's an extra added layer to the whole thing. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is certainly plenty of more Big Brother intrigue going on here. Especially if you're talking about Janelle, because Janelle has so many connections with so many people, and was doing so much pre-gaming. I mean, everybody was, to a certain extent. I mean, there are probably a few people who, I'm sure David didn't make a bunch of phone calls, because
Janelle didn't pregame.
People are.
Didn't pregame good enough, though.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But she needs to, like, as much as we love Janelle, she needs to not bring that drama into the house because obviously it's really just screwed her over.
It's true, but at the same time, I respect it because, like, I don't like Nicole either.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's go to war time, because.
But you want to go to war when you have an army.
Well, absolutely, and that's the biggest problem is that, like, she was not equipped with an army, and that's a really annoying part to me is that it's like, I don't get why people aren't like, let's do it. Why not? Like, what do we got to lose?
Yep.
Like, let's separate out and let's just go back and forth. Especially Janelle pointed out that after this week, that side will have the votes every time. It becomes, a steamroll. And to me, it's like, there's no part I don't ever want to be. I don't want ever a power in the house to just be able to steamroll. Doesn't make sense to me. You should break that up. So I don't know. I'm for the war. I'm for the war.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. That needs to happen.
We're all pro-war.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this war is a little bit lopsided. This is like a desert storm here, where one side is just rolling over everybody, and it's just the Nicole,
shock and awe.
It's like the Nicole Anthony side of the house, just like in a tank without gas, just sitting by the side of the road. You can't do anything if you can't win anything, and they haven't won anything yet. So win something.
Just seeing Kaysar try to rally the troops of just like mediocre floaters, it's just like, oh, this is not going to go.
It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating because it's just like, oh, there's plenty of people that I know that they could have cast that would have been like, oh yeah, I'm down for this struggle. I don't care. Like, that's the real issue to me. It's like, oh man, like there's plenty of people that they cast that are just like, well, I'm going to go with the flow and I'm going to try to make it to jury. Like, they're like people that when they say like, I just want to make it to jury, they literally mean that's all they want is just jury. Instagram followers. It's so frustrating.
That was one of the funniest subplots to me watching the live feeds this week is people saying Janelle wants Instagram followers and then Nicole Franzel, who's a content creator, kind of saying that and everything. It's so funny.
Frustrating. How projecting, like, oh, whatever you're saying, you are projecting onto everyone else.
100%,
like,
yeah.
I don't like. Oh yeah, it's so sad. It's really such a bummer to watch it. Man, I can't watch the show anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting, like hearing like her and I think Bailey too, like talking about Janelle using it to build her real estate business. Like,
oh yeah,
she's gonna sell some houses to some Big Brother fans.
Yeah,
like they're all like, I mean, like we're all grown adults here, but let's be honest, a lot of Big Brother fans are 15-year-old kids.
Poor, they're people like me that have no money. Like the thing about Janelle is like I know Janelle. She's there to play the game. Like she's there to like crush and do well. Like she loves the game more than anything, and you can tell because like on the feeds, she's always the one that's just gaming hard, and it's like that's what I love to see. That's what I want to see when I watch the feeds. I want to see people scheming, plotting, planning, just like thinking up numbers. Like that's like where the game was the most fun for me, and so like watching her do it, it's like, oh, this like brings me back because since my season, I haven't seen a season where it's like this planning, plotting, scheming stuff. Like it hasn't been as crazy as it felt like it was during my season, but watching Janelle do it, it's like, oh yeah, I remember this. It's like nostalgia for me. It's weird, and I love it. I love it so much.
Feels like from just like obviously watching Big Brother and then binging a lot of Survivor, it feels like they're going in opposite directions where the gaming is just in hyperdrive on Survivor and it feels like it's slow played until you get to that like final 6 in Big Brother. It's really annoying.
Absolutely. Well, how do we solve that? How do we fix that? Like what mechanic in the game fixes that? Like, does it have to be some sort of twist that comes in that,
have Dr. Will on every season?
I'm in. Sign me up. Where's the petition that I sign? Yeah.
I do think you either make the game shorter, kind of like how they've done Celebrity Big Brother, or you do the thing where you make a bunch of people safe that first week or whatever, and so you make them choose sides and stuff. I feel
more,
like that's the only way that's popped into my head.
I know there's I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like I'm a Janelle fan, so now I want just production influence. They need to be thrown in twists, like
coup d'etat.
And it's like
coup d'etas.
Yeah, we're talking diamond power of vetoes. Bring it all back, like. But I understand where it's like, oh yeah, like it's obviously you're biased and it's super hypocritical. But like there needs to be something that's just like, otherwise this alliance will just roll to the end. I don't see any other way around it, really.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I've got a couple more questions about Janelle and Kaysar, and they're more about looking towards the future here in week 3, because we have our new HoH. Our new HoH is Tyler, and I want to talk more about Tyler and his plans as HoH right after this. Okay, so we're back, and we're kind of at the end of our discussion for Thursday here, where it is Tyler who wins HoH in a beer mug shuffleboard. They played shuffleboard. They played shuffleboard 3 times. It was
good competition.
Ian almost won it, and then Janelle almost won it, and it turns out to be Tyler. 3 very different weeks. With 3 very different stories. We get the most boring of the 3. Tyler,
just to talk about the competition, I was a little annoyed at some of the strategy. Like if you're Janelle, you probably aren't going to beat him in that time. So take your time, try to get a perfect score and stuff. Like especially if that, like when you're at like 11 and a half seconds and 11 points, like slow it down. Just try to beat him on points.
Well, here's the thing that they talked about is that supposedly there was a 30-second time limit overall. And so a lot of discussion is happening about if you went over on one of your throws, say it went past 5, could you throw again? I don't think we ever got clarification on that, but it's like it wouldn't matter if, like, why would they even have the 30-second time limit to begin with? Like, so, like, I think there's, like, inconsistencies there that, like, are bothersome because, like, yeah, they should let them just, like, go again, especially if they're under the 30-second time limit. But you're right. We got the most boring, I guess. I don't know. I think it was a good game, though, especially for being, like, I feel like they're definitely trying to go lo-fi this year, which, again, I don't care. It does not matter to me. I think it's, like, it's better games, in my opinion, especially you can do better games. You don't have to like wire people up on rigs and stuff and have them fly through the air to memorize garbage.
Yeah, like just copy like Survivor.
Exactly. Why not though? Because like those games work, they actually work and they're fun. They're visual. I agree. Just steal everything from Survivor at this point. That's what I gotta say about that.
I think there's something to be said also for some of the older school Big Brother competitions. I feel like the more complicated you get these days, the more physical you're making the competitions. If you create an Indiana Jones set, Jackson's gonna win it. It's not like the old days where you kick someone out of the house, Julie's sitting down with them, and hey, the HoH competition is just Julie asking the former person who was just evicted a bunch of questions. Whoever knows them best wins. Like you don't need to make it super complicated to keep things interesting. I personally like HoHs where everybody's got a chance to win, vetoes where everybody's got a chance to win. Unfortunately, we've had a couple competitions this season where not everybody has had a chance to win. And I'm talking about that veto competition from this week because that thing looked heavy to hold up. The 2 women were out first. I mean, the guy who won was the guy with the biggest arms.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing is like on my Twitch show with Cameron, we actually talk about that where it's like, how can you break this game? Like, what's the way that you can like try to like actively, skirt the rules, but also still be within the game mechanics. And that's the thing where it's like this one, there's no skirting the rules. Like basically it was like whoever has like the biggest forearms wins. It's not, I don't like that at all. And usually Heath Lumen, who is the challenge competition guy, director, usually he's really good about that. And I think it's like one of those things where it's like, I think it's in the time of COVID that kind of stuff where it's like you got to think lo-fi. So like I get it, but at the same time, like they maybe should have had like hollowed out, or like it should have been weight adjusted holding pads. Absolutely. Like there's no reason they shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, and I want to say, I don't think this is anything that's like, I don't think there's someone sitting in a challenge department saying, we got to design these things so that guys always win.
No.
I think it's more just designing this competition without even thinking like, okay, this is going to be easier for guys than for the women. And then you learn it when they perform it. And it's like, well, we should have figured it out.
Oh, that could actually be an interesting idea, because maybe they don't have the, Survivor has the dream team, like the people that like go through and play the competitions. Like they might not actually have a dream team this season because of COVID.
Yeah, that's true. I know that they do all sorts of, test runs and, before a season, and they have a very light crew this year.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
That's a great point.
Yep.
Just put a puzzle at the end of everything like Survivor does, and you're good. You get the
I don't mind that either.
I think it'd be great.
Bad.
Well, then it's like, all right, Ian is a huge threat now.
Well, now you're biasing things against Caitlin.
Oh, here we go.
Big Brother is not a puzzle show, as we've seen in the past. This is not Survivor's.
Caitlin almost got it.
Survivor's a 30-piece puzzle show. Big Brother's a 6-piece puzzle show. And somehow the 6 pieces are harder. All right, so let's, I don't think we're going to get into the spoiler talk now. Just formally announce it to everybody. If you don't want to hear spoilers, you can check out right here. It won't hurt our feelings. Thank you for listening if you do. That said, the fact that Tyler won HoH, you probably should know it's not going to be super crazy week. You probably already know what happened. So let's just get into it. We'll get into it with the part you probably don't know off the top of your head, which is a safety suite. It was done on Friday. Friday's the day we're talking. So this is fresh off the presses. Your winner of the safety competition was Enzo. Not an awful lot of people playing. Most of the people who would be vulnerable this week have already used up their card. So it's really just a few stragglers from that alliance.
Enzo's a comp beast now.
Yeah, Enzo is. Yeah. Hey, listen, Enzo's got the arms, He's got he's got the Jersey look. And he picks, to keep safe, he picks Christmas, who last week kept Ian safe. Not an especially interesting situation here. Neither of them were in much trouble going into this week. Neither of them.
I heard there was a rumor that supposedly they were all going to throw it to Enzo.
Oh, okay.
I can't confirm that. I don't know if that's exactly what happened or anything like that, especially with like a competition that you don't know the times of other people. I don't know how that would be possible, but that's definitely what I heard.
The only other thing that I heard was that that Danny put in a fast time. So I don't know if that's, who knows. We'll find out. We'll find out on Sunday.
Yeah, I read Memphis through it. That was all I.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I also heard that. Yeah. The thing about that one is just like, like you said, it doesn't matter. Basically, it does not matter. Like the people that were all competing are all in the same alliance. Doesn't matter. Right. I think that if they're trying to like give Christmas safety to pull her in tighter, I mean that's smart. That's smart gameplay. I can't discredit that. I think that's good on them.
That was going to be my point. I thought it was really savvy on Enzo's part to pick Christmas and not really reveal his inner four and everything.
Yeah, very smart. But again, like Enzo's in a dangerous position because, like you were saying, he's a comp beast at this point. He's won stuff like multiple comps. Like I would be like, oh well, put him on the radar. That was not the game that he played his original season. Like he was never on the radar whatsoever. Yeah. He didn't win anything. So
I think Tyler and Enzo are in really interesting spots where I could see either of them win the game and kind of just like cakewalk to the end, but I could also see them, since they are two people that have done really the best in the competitions other than Memphis, I can see them getting on people's radars really easily too. But there are such bigger threats. Like if you're Enzo, you've got the Codys and the Memphises and stuff that you can kind of throw in front of you too. So I really think those two are in an interesting position. They're two people that have really stood out to me so far.
Yeah. Well, I've been telling you, Lance, that he is my Enzo. Enzo is my pick in the office pool. He's the person that I've chosen to win it all. So I think he's in a good. I think he's in a good. I think he's in a good spot. He's in a lot of the right alliances, and he is a comp piece, as you said. Sexy Uncle Enzo. Sexy Uncle Enzo. Riding a banana.
Amazing.
Did the banana get bigger?
It's it's riding it. So.
What? We didn't talk about Julie saying the.
Oh yeah, so I guess
Julie had an interesting night.
Yeah, Julie gets to come up with her own quote to end every.
Well, I mean that, but also like the whole thing
Busy
about
Phillips reference.
Oh, the
Busy Phillips reference. Yeah. She was singing. She like screwed up like the first word she said when she got on camera.
Well, the other thing about it is like, so they're not doing live episodes anymore. You know, like these are all pre-taped, and so it's insane to me that they're gonna let like some of the crazy stuff that Julie is saying, I guess, go through. I guess like no one's there editing it. I don't know. Like yeah, the whole Busy Phillips thing about Danny was surreal. That seemed odd.
That was so weird. And then Busy Phillips even tweeted that it was weird.
Yes.
Like she responded and stuff that it was weird.
Who said the thing about like someone said like, oh yeah, this is what Julie said about Busy Phillips, and then Busy Phillips like retweeted it. I thought it was you, Lance. I didn't know if I thought Busy Phillips retweeted you. I don't know if that wasn't me.
Oh okay. Man, that would have been cool.
Okay. Do you know Busy Phillips, Lance?
No.
Did you meet her in a Quiznos somewhere?
Hey, Busy Phillips, come on the pod.
Yes. Well, that's the thing. I thought it was you, but like someone like retweeted like what Julie said, and then sure enough, like Busy Phillips was like, "This is actually very weird."
Very
and
weird.
I was like,
"Yeah."
Julie,
the only person who
I think it was like, what was it, like a year ago? Julie, something happened with. I mean, obviously some stuff's happened with Julie, but like she changed like on air and stuff, and started getting more like direct with her questions and like not holding anything back and stuff. And so this is a little different than that and stuff.
Absolutely.
She like, even in her interviews, she's kind of the same where it's like, I'm a little confused by your gameplay and stuff. But like just a peculiar episode from Julie.
No, very odd. And then she says all this, and then she gives another sign off that is just like cryptic, and I mean, like on the surface level, it's whatever. But overall, it's like, all right.
I feel like
Julie.
every sign off now is like a subtweet at CBS now.
Yeah, it's like she's trying. Like every time I get the feeling like she's trying to say something very meaningful and like very like something that would be probably controversial to some people who are watching. And like it's always like, okay, how do I edit this down so that it's non-offensive enough that I can say it, but still just enough in there so that everyone knows what I'm talking about. It's like a weird line she's walking.
Well, and she said exactly the interview, but she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm really thankful that they're letting me give my like final moments, or they're letting me give my, my thoughts or whatever."
Jerry Springer's final thoughts and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's basically what it is. And it's like, okay, well, cool, Julie, but also like, what are we talking about here? Like, it doesn't mean anything to anyone if it's just like, yes, it's just weird. I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. It's so odd.
Can we talk about Ian's punishment real quick? And his name was Dirk Space Jammer. So it's, Star Wars meets Boogie Nights, I guess.
That's what I was thinking too. Yes. Hell yes. Yeah.
And I was a little surprised that they got away with being able to call it CBS All Star Wars. I'm like, do you want to get sued by Disney? You're selling CNET and stuff. Like, I don't know if you want to be paying Disney anybody.
That's a good call.
Oh boy.
No, Space Jammer. Yeah, that is definitely within the realm of Boogie Nights. I love it.
I thought it was, if they were doing a nod at Boogie Nights, that was great. Because
I agree. Absolutely.
Like the old school seasons, there was a lot of sexual innuendo for this very corny show, and they obviously got away from it now, but they'll still kind of lay some hints in there.
I'm curious, like, Space Jammer, like, I'm trying to think of some Boogie Nights lines that, like, I can't say them. I'm gonna get bleeped.
That's the problem.
That is true.
Exactly.
That's true. I will say,
Mark
Boogie Nights.
Wahlberg, come on the pod.
Yeah, Boogie Nights also happens to be the name of the Week 4 veto competition. It's gonna be Mike Boogie coming back. Wait for that. Wait for that.
With Dr. Will, and then they just fight.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a
gonna
Mike
be,
Boogie rave.
Yeah.
No, I don't think you'll be seeing him on TV anytime soon.
I think they have a restraining order on
Big Brother.
Gotta,
Might see him on some other shows, but not on Big Brother.
Yeah, on the lot, I don't think he's allowed within like 500 yards.
No. Yep.
It's a lot of
you can't even go next to the man with the plan.
Censor myself right now. Yep.
That's all right. Oh, okay.
That's all I had to say about Ian.
Let's pull it back. We'll pull it back from Mike Boogie and Boogie Nights for a hot moment here. So it probably shouldn't come to any surprise where the nominations this week are heading. When we hopped on here live, they hadn't happened yet. It doesn't matter that they hadn't happened yet. It's gonna be Janelle and Kaysar, right? Like, there's no other combination here. Tyler was pushing that back door last week. Now he's got the power. Like, they put his name out there. Like, I don't see how it's not them.
I think it's like the obvious choice. It makes sense. He's in the alliances that there's no reason to not do it. I'm sure I think that with Tyler, it kills him a little bit because I think he does want to work with these old school legends.
Yeah.
So I think it hurts him a little bit, but also at the same time, he knows this is what he has to do. And on that front, I actually think Tyler's a really good game player. I really do think that he will do good. But at the same time, it's oh no, go against it. We need all the production influence we can get.
Yeah. I mean, from Team Good TV, you want to see him do something that's not Janelle and Kaysar because they're fantastic. You want them to stay around.
Of course.
Maybe something will happen to the veto to keep things interesting, but
absolutely.
This is what we're going to get.
Absolutely.
I think there is one dark horse that I do think that either Janelle or Kaysar goes home, but I think Davon is really on notice. I don't think she has a lot of trust with people, and that I think from what I've read, Tyler I think he kind of really wants to get rid of her, but he can't because everybody else wants Jacer out. But if there was some kind of something that happened where that was like that, I could see Davon going.
100%. I also feel like that, from the conversations that I've heard, it definitely seems there's a possibility. Jess, who is Janelle's husband, contacted me today and was like, is there any way she stays? What, how is it done or what? I was like, there's so many moving parts. There's still moving parts, that's where she and Kaysar shine. They're in a position where it's not going to be good for them. So, that's where they shine. That's always where they've shined. And James Ryan said it best, where it's this is where they will step up and start actually taking names and kicking butt, I guess.
I hope so.
I hope
I think
so
the
too.
only way, and you need a Hail Mary kind of thing, is Janelle wins POV, takes herself off, Davon goes up, and it's Kaysar versus Davon. And then maybe, just maybe, but
yep.
I can see that. I think the only way is if Davon keeps proving to people that people think she's untrustworthy and she keeps digging that hole a little bit is really the only way. But it's so hard to see it right now.
No, it really is hard to see it. I 100% agree. It's not looking good. It is not looking good at all.
If you had to pick one, it sounds like you are closer with Janelle. Would you rather Janelle stay, or do you kind of want to see Kaysar?
Yeah, I'd rather Janelle stay. I want to see Kaysar play for sure. I want to see him get to the jury spot, that at least jury, I guess. But Janelle is a monster. She is just a game player. And I think Kaysar is too, but I don't even know if she wanted me to win.
I'm rooting for. Look at this. We got June 20th, 2013.
Yeah.
No stash.
This is the only reason I went to the casting.
How about that?
Thing. Yes. It was because Janelle was there, and I was like, well, I might get to meet Janelle. That's why I went to that casting thing. And, obviously, of course I did. Yeah. No, and Janelle was the best. And it's wild that, like, that took a turn and got me on the damn show. No, that's exactly what it is, where it's like, oh, yeah, no, I'm with Janelle no matter what all day.
I'm with her till the wheels fall off, as Kevin said.
Yep.
And it looks like the wheels may fall off this week, but there's a veto to be played, and that's you can't backdoor him. You can't backdoor
plenty
her,
of time.
So there is,
exactly.
That's one thing. I'm glad that Janelle's not getting backdoored either. Obviously, it's a dangerous play to do that, but that would have been really tough to see her get backdoored, and that's how she goes.
That would have been horrible.
Especially because it appears there's no battle back.
Yeah.
Right?
No, that's
what is that? What is that? Yeah. No battle back. Unbelievable to me when it's like you're giving $40,000 supposedly to these people. It's really surprising that they're like, oh yeah, we're not going to try to protect our interests and have someone come back.
It has to be the Rona. That's the only reason to do it. But they had these like Airbnb like bungalows for all these people and stuff. Just put them back there for like a month. Like I get it.
Julie said it. Julie said like, oh yeah, like expect the unexpected. Like it could be anything. Who knows? But at the same time, obviously Keisha is she knows way too much.
Yeah, and she's already tweeting and everything too.
Well, yeah, and then Julie on this one was like, "Oh yeah, Nicole, like here's an alliance that's like well, I mean, to me, I'm still like, oh, just send her back. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care who gets sent back.
The one thing I could see is like maybe like a jury, like they do it in like the beginning parts of the jury, but even then, that kind of throws a wrench into some things.
Maybe that's what it is. I think it might be a jury battle back. I think you're right.
I don't hate that.
No, I think you're 100% right. I think that actually makes sense.
Well, one thing, this is going to be a shorter season than most Big Brother seasons. I think we're talking 80-some days, right, instead of the usual 100.
Yeah, I think I heard 78 today. Yeah. And
we started with the same number of people. So obviously they got to take out something in there. And a battle back is just a wasted week often. Because I'm literally usually, because it's like Scotty goes back in. And then what are you going to do with that? It's big Scotty day here on the show. But
do we have any double eviction weeks and stuff? Because that could also play into it too.
I think we're gonna get one. I don't know if we're gonna get two. I don't know if we've got enough time for two.
I can see that. They have to get out before Nicole's wedding, which we hear just so little about.
Is Janelle still going to her wedding? That is my question. Is she going to the wedding? It's a lot of
Janelle, I think actually would. I think Janelle.
Oh yeah. But that invitation is going to get burned.
But is the invitation still good?
No, the invitation is bad. I think the invitation is burned up. Yeah, no, I think like Janelle's a person that's like, oh yeah, we all played the game, like we're all cool. But I don't think that's the same for Nicole Franzel. I think Nicole Franzel is a very methodical and sadistic player. She needs to be. She's a sick son of a okay. Oh yeah.
Well, that's what makes her such a good player. Like you look at her face, and you can't believe this sweet person is gonna stab you in the back. She does it to everyone every time.
Well, we need those villains too. We need it. We need
absolutely. And I don't get me wrong. I think Nicole Franzel is for real the person that is bad, is like she is a villain, and I respect Nicole Franzel's play because she really is ruthless, and I can't.
She does what she has to do to survive, like she's good at that. And like, look where she's put herself now. She's in this major alliance and she has the numbers and everything. Like,
absolutely,
she could win this game. Like, totally. Absolutely. So you have to respect that.
I will say she has one weak point here. And this is something that Tyler was saying. Well, there probably multiple, but like one weak point that I want to bring up here. Tyler was talking with David. Obviously there's something going on there. But explaining to it at some point, Nicole's going to have to go on a block against Ian. At some point, he's expecting that to happen. There's been a lot of talk in the house among various people that they don't want someone who's already won the game to win again. I think that's going to work against Nicole coming towards the end. where you could kind of get like a, that was kind of one of the rumors about Big Brother 14, right? Like we don't want someone who's won already to win, so maybe we shouldn't let that happen. So maybe it could happen again. I think that's like her biggest obstacle, because for some reason people aren't really picking up on her game. The only thing that she really has negatively going for her right now seems to be Ian and that connection and that winner's connection.
Ian's one of the more interesting people to me, just because he's not really part of that major alliance. And what's his plan? Like, what's he going to do? Like, he could just get steamrolled, but he seems like he does have a plan, but he's not telling anybody. Would have loved to see him and Kaysar come together for like a secret alliance kind of thing. That would have been really interesting.
Yes. And like, I think that it's still on the table. Like, it's definitely still there, but
I think Ian's just a little scared of the numbers. I think he just doesn't want to piss off the house, especially this early.
Yep, I absolutely agree with that. It's rough, it's annoying, and I want Ian to do better. But you're 100% right. It's yeah.
He's put himself in a couple of smaller alliances, but they're all alliances that also are part of a bigger alliance that he's not a part of.
And if you get rid of, say Jacer goes the next two, then it's like Davon or Ian is probably your next target, right?
Well, that's I kind of put it together, and I want to talk to you about that, because after Janelle and Kaysar, I think that's the good thing about this week, is that once we know for sure one of them is going home, then people have to start thinking about the next step, and that's where things get interesting. If everybody is against Janelle and Kaysar, that's not interesting. Like once it starts breaking, and there are a lot of these there are people who for sure want to target Ian, but there are people who for sure don't want to target Ian. I think he is kind of somewhere in that middle, where he's close to the people in power, but he's not a part of that alliance. I say David is also in a very similar, like he is probably the best of that middle group, who's not really a part of something like a larger alliance, where he's got a couple people who are looking out for him there. I think the way it looks now, I think you got Kevin, I think you got Devon, I think you got Bailey right there in that middle spot, who are going to be in the most trouble right after we get rid of Janelle and Kaysar.
Well, that's why, to go back to Big Brother All-Stars and stuff, like if you're Tyler, there's an argument to keep Jacer around. You keep these bigger threats and stuff just until they cut each other off, until you can make your move and everything. So if they get rid of Jacer, Tyler, Cody could just be those biggest threats. And
Ian, I think, is a really good player. Every time I've ever talked to him, like, is like the smartest person I've ever. And it's a bummer to see him like, oh yeah, like, no, I'm good. And as good as he thinks that he's in the right spot, I'm not gonna question it. But at the same time, he might be in the realest bad spot. Like,
I just think he's in trouble, especially if he goes up against Nicole on the block. Like, they're probably going to keep Nicole and stuff. So he's there's only so many moves for him. And this is what we were talking about earlier when Kaysar was trying to rally the troops. You only have that limited time to really battle these people, or you're hoping that there's just dissension in the group, which there's no guarantee of that.
And this pecking order, so to speak, that's starting to form can really be disrupted if the right person wins HoH. And the problem is that all the people who are on that side of the pecking order, say, unless you're talking about Janelle and Kaysar, can win. Presumably they might have a chance to at some point. But like Kevin's not going to win something. And if Kevin doesn't win something, and if Bailey doesn't win something, and Devon doesn't win something, I mean, they could. But if they don't, like, pointless. I mean, they got to win something to actually make something happen here.
Yep. And even if they do, I don't know if they will be like omniscient enough to know, like, I need to make that move to keep Janelle or Kaysar. It's a rough situation overall. Not good at all.
And I could also see, like, if, say, like, Kaysar wins the next HoH or something, they have enough bodies they can kind of throw people under the bus a little bit and hope that it's okay. Because you can still put up a Cody and Tyler, and then they could try to throw a Christmas or somebody it might not work against them, but they have these bodies to throw where you can keep your core alliance and still lose some of that outer rim of those people.
Oh yeah.
out of room, Star Wars.
No, you're 100% right. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad for them. Absolutely.
Yeah, it is. It's gonna be a rough week, but I guess the question is then, whoever it is that stays, is there a chance that that person, even if they don't, assuming they don't win HoH on week 4, is that person going to be the next target, or can the game move on from that? Because if it's Janelle who stays, Janelle's going to still be a huge target, right? And if Kaysar stays, presumably he's still going to be a big target. Like, can the game move on and forget about them?
Again, it's so early that there's so many moving parts to the game. Like, I think that there's so much opportunity to like betray and just do whatever that can help you through the game. They have plenty of opportunity. Yeah, that's what I hope, I guess.
I think I would say that, obviously it depends who goes home, but I think they have a chance of flying under the radar because I think the strongest bond in the house is Davon and Bailey. And so I could easily see them just being the next targets and being like, oh, we'll take care of Janelle or Kaysar or whatever when we can. Or like say Janelle stays and you're in that alliance. Why not weaponize Janelle to take out Nicole? That she's not going really like a Cody or Tyler 100%. Or anything. Yeah, have them go at it. Like keep her around because she's going after Nicole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I love it. Someone's got to go after Nicole, and why not her, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
And like, if you're part of the core major alliance, it sucks, but you still have the numbers, Yeah.
Well, a lot of interesting things. It sounds like can happen week 4 and week 5, and we can't wait for those weeks to get here. It's gonna be probably gonna be a boring week on the feed. I'm gonna watch it anyway. We'll see how it goes. Maybe things will get a little bit more active once we start thinking about week 4. Once
maybe something crazy happens too.
Maybe something crazy will happen. All right, so I think we better start wrapping this up here. We've been going at it for a while, but before we do, I want to thank you so much, McCrae, for joining us again.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolute pleasure.
Insane. The pleasure is all mine. I just want to push people toward. I love that little guy. You need to take a picture so I can. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
The best.
Sure. Like I said, we'll Lysol it down and we'll send it to you at some point.
There you go.
Great. That's exactly what I want.
Have that for your Twitch stream, which you're about to promote.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone should follow me on my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/chumlord. It's me and Cameron from season 19, who's first out. Oh, he probably hates that I say that.
The David of season 19.
Yeah. No, Cameron's...
Is he listening, though?
He probably is not. He probably is not.
Probably not.
But at the same time...
Lance. Come on.
No, again, I want to say thank you to everyone, and everyone should come check out our show because, there's Rob has your podcast, whatever. Everyone's got their things. Yeah, you're never going to see a show like mine. It's live.
McCrae has a Twitch stream.
I will curse a blue streak and I'll be a bad person.
There is only one McCrae. So
yeah, that's why McCrae is not only a friend of the pod, he's a best friend of the pod.
Ooh.
I will say, Lance, you do drop the friend of the pod thing a little loosely, but this time I think it's for real. This time
that's why I had to give him the best friend of the pod.
I like that. Yes, absolutely. Have you back anytime, boys.
Okay. Well, we're gonna keep doing that. Yeah. We'll hopefully we will still be around, and if we're still around, we'll ask you. We'll ask you to come back. Absolutely. Check him out. And where can we follow you on social media?
Just don't worry about anything else, but twitch.tv/chumlord.
All right. How about you, Lance? Where can we follow you?
At Casually Ginger.
All right.
Where Busy Phillips is not retweeting me.
Okay. Damn.
One day.
Yeah. And you can catch me at Fox Van Allen on the Twitters and all that good stuff. One quick reminder, if you're listening, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to the Big Brother Brothers. You can do it on your favorite podcasting app, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, wherever you find a good podcast, you'll find ours. And I want to send a special shout out to YouTube and now the Facebook audience, Lance. We got this show on Facebook, and apparently, like, we're a hit on Facebook. Like, YouTube doesn't care less about us.
Is that a good thing? Is being a hit on Facebook a good thing?
Well, it's questionable. We do have some fans on Facebook, Lance. We got some fan mail you saw. Just out of curiosity, one of our fans, Cody, wants to know, are you Little Dicky?
No, I'm medium Dicky.
Okay. All right. That's good to know. All right.
Hi, I'm Lance. Dave is a great show, though. Little Dicky show.
Dave is so good.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for showing up today. Lance and I will be back here next week. Join us with our special. Oh, we got another guest, Lance. Next week we're going to be talking with Alex Willett from Big Brother Over the Top.
Only a friend of the pod.
Yeah. Also, for the first time, we're talking with her, and she's also the Big Brother sequester queen. She won the Big Brother versus Big Brother Canada.
America, baby.
Yeah. All right. So catch that next week. Catch us. We'll talk to you then. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.